Hey guys, Rachel from Past Building Consultants here. Bit of a change of scenery today. We've got a bit of break in the weather. So we are in sunny Queensland, but it's not so sunny today. We're in the middle of our wet season, and I thought I'd bring you outside to the garden, not to look at the garden, but actually to look at some of the external features of our house to show you the sorts of things that you can do in terms of passive design to design a home that's more sustainable and environmentally friendly and uses a lot less energy to run and is therefore cheaper to run. So having a look from the very top, you can just see, I'll just use my pen here, just here, that little black round thing on the top of the roof. That is a solar roof vent. And what that does is it has a little solar panel on top, and it helps to, it's a fan underneath which is driven by the solar panel, and it draws the hot air from the roof out. And the great thing about it is that the hotter it is, the harder it works. So that will actually shift about 11 times more volume of air than a standard whirlybird roof vent would do. So it helps keep that roof space nice and cool. And obviously I've got lots of insulation in my roof as well. I've actually got foil under the roof sheets, and I've also got R4 earth wall in my roof space as well on the ceiling cord line. So effectively what I'm doing is a bit of belt and braces, and I've also got the solar roof vent. And that means that firstly I'm not air conditioning the roof space because I've got the bulk insulation along the ceiling cord line, but it also means that any heat that does build up there, it's less likely to have an impact by seeping through. For example, like with the downlights, you have to have a gap around your insulation, so there are weak points within that ceiling which I'm helping minimise the impact of those by having my roof vent and keeping that roof as cool as possible. And obviously, yes, I have a white roof too, because the lighter the roof, the cooler it's going to keep. Having a black roof in the tropics is not a great idea. You can do it, but you're probably going to have to improve your insulation in order to meet new building codes in terms of getting your energy ratings to comply, but also, you know, honestly, I really don't think it's such a great idea. Yeah, go for mid-range colours, and in some cases you're going to need to go mid-range colours anyway, or darker colours because of hill slopes, for example, and we certainly have that here in Cairns. But if you can, try and go for the lighter colours. However, there is one downside to the lighter colours, and that is that they can get a bit grubby looking over time, and you might need to get them cleaned from time to time. Another thing to note in our house is, see, we've got nice big fans. So 1400 fans are much better than smaller size fans. And additionally, we have got wider than normal eaves. So we've got 750 eaves as opposed to a standard 600 eaves. And by the time you put your gutter on there as well, that gives you about 850, which gives you more shading in the heat of the day and keeps the walls a little bit cooler, and also helps shade windows. Now you probably can't see, it's a little bit dark, but we also have louvers everywhere. So here, which is a secondary bedroom here, we've got louvers. And what that means is with a louver you have a lot more ventilation than you do with a standard door, standard window. Standard windows, only half of it will open. With louvers it's about 90%. I also don't have screens on my windows here. I do have them on the doors, but not on the windows. Security is not really too much of an issue where we live, and also that's going to cut down your airflow up to about 20%. So we don't really need them here. We don't get that many mozzies because even though we have a pond, we have fish in there which are native fish which eat the mosquito larvae, so we don't get too much of a problem. And then also we've got light external wall colours as well. So just panning around here, we've got light wall colours. Inside the patio I do have a darker colour, but because that is shaded from the sun, I'm not too worried about that because it's protected, and therefore any extra heat absorption is negated by the fact that it's well shaded. But the rest of the house is a light white colour, And we also have things like additional shading protection as well. So this side of the house is not ideal orientation because it faces east. So I've actually got long walls facing east and west, which is not ideal. But unfortunately, that was all I could do for this block. I still managed to get over a 9-star energy rating. Part of that is because I've addressed the shading very well, and we have lots of additional features, passive features, which don't cost very much, but make a big difference in terms of the energy efficiency. One, of course, is that it's a timber framed home with well insulated walls as well. But yes, we've also got things like this external pergola, and which shades actually 2 bedrooms. So you've got the master bedroom doors, which you can't really see. They're sort of over this way. Behind here is the master bedroom, and then the little window there is to a guest bedroom. Obviously a nice big patio. We live in the tropics and we spend a lot of time outside with nice big opening doors. Again, cross ventilation is super important, and I've got lots of ventilation all through the home to help reduce my necessity to put on the air conditioning. I've also introduced additional shading here just in terms of planting. So I've got a walkway that goes in between that window, or the louver, that's a louver there, and the plants, which is about a metre wide, and then I've got the planting. So that gives a really nice outlook to the dining room, which is also where my husband tends to set up his office, and out onto the garden. It also is hiding a really special little feature in the garden at the moment. We've got a sunbird nest, which is up here in the corner, and they are actually on their 3rd nest this year. So they've actually raised 4 fledglings which have been flying around the garden. I've been watching those very closely, and now she's sitting on her 3rd lot of eggs, which is amazing, in the same nest, and that gives them protection as well. So having this planting of gingers and heliconias in front of the dining room gives us natural shading to help protect against the morning sun, and it also gives a bit of protection to the habitat, and so the butcher birds can't see her to raid the nest for the sunbirds and the other wildlife too. Of course, these are native, so it helps feed them as well. Another feature actually in the garden, while we're here, might as well just pan around and have a little look. Now, my grow wall, that little black structure there next to the back door to the garage, is looking a bit sad at the moment, but those are great for if you don't have much space in your garden. You can use those for planting herbs or other plants to kind of green up what could otherwise be maybe a bit of a barren area. I have had herbs in there previously. I've also had flowers, and they've done pretty well, but yeah, at the moment it hasn't had a lot of TLC over the last couple of months, so I've actually taken the plants out. What else? The external cladding here. So we have used James Hardie cladding. This is an Axon product, and I've used it both vertically and horizontally, just to give a bit of interest. Other things in the garden, I've got lots of natives planted, and also we've got lots of little structures that my husband has created. Oh, there's Guppy. He doesn't stay out in the garden for very long because obviously he's a cat and he's going to kill things, so he's only allowed out for like an hour or 2 every day, usually this time of day, which is about 5-6 o'clock. Then he comes in at night, and he's indoors for the rest of the day. And then we've got lots of other plants here as well. So we've got a veggie patch at the back there, which again is looking a little bit overgrown at the moment. Lots of citrus plants. So we've got limes, lemons and oranges. We've also got lychee and miracle fruit. And again, this year the garden's not been very productive. I've normally got heaps of stuff in the garden, but we had a few tomatoes, a few eggplant, and I've got herbs and things, but this year hasn't been so great. Usually we have a lot more in the garden, and there's nothing like picking something from the garden, having it for dinner that night. And then of course we have the pond. If you have any body of water near the house, it's going to have a natural cooling effect. So we love our pond, and so this has been here for, since the house was built, about 8 years, and the wildlife it attracts is amazing. So I'm a very keen photographer, particularly insects and frogs, and yeah, it's absolutely wonderful to have the pond here, and it's got a little fountain which I've switched off because you won't be able to hear me otherwise. And we have native frogs in there. I go out toad hunting every night during the summer to make sure the toads don't come in, and it gives the frogs plenty of opportunity to thrive, and at night time it can be pretty loud here. And of course the insects that it encourages into the garden as well. for pollination for the vegetation, and also a food for other birds. So it's a whole little kind of ecosystem that we've created here, which is in the middle of suburbia. You know, we don't live in the middle of the country, we do live in suburbia, and it's a little haven for the birds and the insects. And plus, as I say, if you have any body of water, whether it be a swimming pool or a pond near the home, that will act as a natural cooling effect as the wind passes over it before going into the house. That's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video and the bit of change of scenery, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.